Have you ever gotten to the end of your workday, sat down in your car in the parking lot because that's the only quiet place left, and you thought, what did I actually get done today? You were there at the clinic all day, you didn't stop, and your to-do list looks almost exactly like it did at 7:30 in the morning. Some days the desk actually looks worse by the time you go home. If you've had those days, stay with me because that's exactly what we're talking about today. And welcome to the Unbreakable Woman's Journey. I'm Jules, and I'm so glad you're here. If you're new, welcome. If you found this at the right time, it's a blessing. For those walking with me through season 2 in episode 1, we talked about shifting from accidental manager to intentional leader. And in episode 2, we protected your first 30 days. Why slowing down and observing before you fix anything is actually the smartest move you can make. If you haven't heard those, go back and listen. They'll make today land even better. Today, we're talking about what happens after you've made that shift. You're showing up intentionally, you're trying to lead well, and the chaos is still there. Because it doesn't go away just because your title changed. So let's talk about it. Here's something I wish someone had told me early on. When you get promoted into management, especially if you're like most of the women I work with, meaning you didn't come in with an MBA. You got tapped because you were good at your job and you never said no when someone needed help. Nobody gives you an operations manual for the hard days. They give you a title, yeah, that's nice, and maybe a new office if you're lucky. And then they sort of wave you into the direction of the chaos and wish you well. You figure it out because that's who you are. But you know what? Figuring it out alone over years is a slow and exhausting way to learn. So if I can hand you something today that took me longer to learn than I should have, I will give it to you. I want to take you back to a specific kind of day. I think you will recognize it if yours looks a little different from mine, even if it did. It was month end at the clinic. And if you've ever worked in medical practice, you already know. Month end has its own vibe, a different kind of energy. Everything comes due at the same time and everything wants your attention right now. So there I am. The billers had just finished posting patient payments, which meant I needed to move into my month-end accounting, which is including bank reconciliation was sitting on my desk. Also, I had to run revenue allocation so I could calculate the general excise tax. For those of you outside of Hawaii, that's our state business tax. And the rate is different depending on which island you're on. So I had to run it separately for Hilo and Kauai and separately for Honolulu or the island of Oahu. It is not complicated work, but it requires focus. You cannot half pay attention to it. And right in the middle of all that, someone from the lab come in to tell me that one of the machines was down. And at the same time, the EMR, the electronic medical record, stopped syncing with the appointment scheduler. So now one of the MA's medical assistants is on the phone with the IT. To their credit, though, the team knew exactly what to do when certain things break down like that. The blood draws had to be sent out. The med tech started troubleshooting. Nobody panicked. But here's what people don't tell you about being the manager. Even when your team handles it, you're still the one closing the loops. When is the IT getting back to us? If we can't fix the machine over the phone, when is the technician coming in? Those aren't big things, but they're yours to track. And every one of them pulls you just a little further from what you were trying to finish. So I'm trying to keep all 5 plates spinning in the air at the same time. A little on the reconciliation, over the lab situation, back to where to find my place in the general exercise report. Then there's the hallway question, then back again. By the end of the day, I was depleted and almost none of it was finished. I had been busy in a way that feels like productivity, but really it is not. You know that feeling where you're moving constantly, but nothing is actually moving forward? That was me. And I went home not just tired, but a little defeated. Now, my first instinct is, and if you know me, this will not surprise you. I was thinking, I just need to reset, get calm, get recentered, and try again. And I still believe in that, of course. We'll come back to it later. But taking a few deep breaths and trying again would have put me right back into the same situation, because the problem was not my breathing. It took me a while to see it clearly, but when I did, it was one of those moments where you think, oh, that's what was happening. I didn't have a people problem. My team was fine. I didn't have a capacity problem. We weren't short-staffed. I didn't even really have any time problem. I had a structure problem. I had no system for deciding which fire to walk towards first. I was responding to whatever felt most urgent in the moment, which meant I was mostly responding to whoever was the loudest. And you know what? Urgency is not the same as priority. I had been treating them like they were the same thing for years. Once I saw that, I could not unsee it. The chaos wasn't the problem. My approach to the chaos was the problem. So here's what I want to give you. I call it the sequence method. And I'll tell you upfront, it's not complicated. No certification is required. No color-coded binder is necessary. Although, if your color-coded binders is your thing, I fully support that. So, the core idea is this. Stop multitasking your priorities and start sequencing them. Let me repeat that. Stop multitasking your priorities and start sequencing them. Multitasking feels productive. I lived it in that feeling for years. But what's actually happening in your brain is switching between 5 things over and over, and every switch costs you something. It costs you time, energy, the mental thread you are holding. It adds up, and by the end of the day, you are drained and nothing is closed out. Sequencing says 1 lane at a time. Define what done looks like. Oh my God, do I struggle with this one because I have a perfectionist tendency. So again, define what done looks like and stay there until it's finished or hand it off. Then move. 3 moves you can actually use. First, block time for one category before the day gets loud. When you arrive, take 5 minutes and write down everything that's open. Not to stress yourself out, just to get it out of your head onto a paper where you can see it. Now group it by category: clinical, financial, admin, and personnel. Well, that's my lanes. Then ask, which category has the highest consequence if it does not get done today? Start there. Now, what feels easiest? not what someone else is most anxious about, what actually matters most today. Okay? Second, finish one lane before you switch. Yes, you'll get interrupted, people will walk in, things will come up. That's clinic life. But here's the real difference between something that you genuinely need to get done right now and something that can wait 20 minutes. Most of it can wait 20 minutes. You just need to decide your lane is worth protecting and then protect it. Third, and this one is the one that surprised me the most. Define what done looks like before you start. Not I'll work on it or not I'll make some progress. What does finish actually look like for this particular task? A vague task never gets completed. It just keeps getting touched. Done has a shape. Figure out the shape. Anyway, that month end I told you about, the next time it came around, I ran it differently. I blocked the morning for accounting only. I defined done for each report before I opened a single file. And then when someone came to ask me something mid-morning, I asked if they could wait until I finished the block. Most of the time it could wait. And I was done by noon. That had genuinely never happened before. I told you we'd come back to self-regulation. Here's where it fits. A scattered mind produces scattered work. If you're walking into the clinic already overwhelmed, already reacting before the day has even started, no framework will hold. You need some steadiness in you when you arrive. I have my own practice for that and I take it seriously. But calm alone is not the solution. Calm is the foundation. Structure is the building, and you need both. Calm supports your structure, and your structure gives calm something to work with. One without the other either leaves you peaceful and stuck, or organized and burned out. Together, that's when it starts to feel like leadership. So before we close, I want to say something directly to you. If you're still finding your footing, still quietly wondering whether you actually have what it takes, you are not behind and you are not failing. You're leading without a framework. And there's a real difference between those two things. The fact that you're here trying to figure this thing out, that already tells me something about you. You didn't land in this role by accident. Even if it feels like that way. Someone saw something in you and they were right. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to have an answer for every fire on the same day. What you have to do is bring some order to what feels overwhelming. That's the actual work of leadership. Not doing more, not running faster, but creating enough clarity that your team can move. Your patients get the good care. And you can leave at the end of the day feeling like you actually led something. That's who you are becoming. And that you are closer than you think. Here's your one thing for the week. Tomorrow morning, Monday, Tuesday, before the clinic gets loud, take 5 minutes. Write down everything open, group it into category, pick one that matters most to you today, define what done looks like, and start there. One lane, one definition of done. Try it once and see what it does for your day. And if this episode spoke to something you've been carrying, please share it. Send it to another manager who's white-knuckling through the hard season. She needs this too. And thank you for being here today. The work you're doing, showing up, growing, choosing to lead well, even when nobody handed you a blueprint, It matters more than you know. Until next time, my friend, stay in deliverance structure. Aloha!